Hi, I'm Chris. This is Reality Shadow Band, and we're going to be picking apart some more pieces of reality that are designed to mess you over. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? Yeah, so this next one is about broken political promises and gutted retirement accounts. I'm going to be basically reacting to this Vincent Chan channel. Excellent work, by the way. Let's go give him a like and subscribe, of course, because he seems to be not a shill and on point, and his stuff is entertaining. So I'm gonna give him a subscribe because he's actually pretty good. So we're gonna watch this together, and this is just about how by 2030, which is only 6 years from now, I know, 73 million baby boomers in the U.S. Are in the United States, and they all retired right then. So and at the same time, 45% of baby boomers have no retirement savings, and they are becoming homeless at a rate not seen since the Great Depression. So the Great Depression two, or the Greater Depression, as Casey, what's his name? Casey, what's his name? Anyway, Doug Casey. He calls it the Greater Depression, and that's kind of, I think we're actually in it now, and we're just being snowed over about how bad things are because of all the fake statistics and scam statistics. So we're just going to listen to a little bit of this.
There are 73 million baby boomers in the US, and they can all retire by 2030. But at the same time, 45% of baby boomers have no retirement savings, and they are now the fastest growing generation to become homeless. So if everyone is saying baby boomers are the wealthiest generation, what's going on? What happened to all their money? Chances are, when you think of retirement, you see yourself sipping spicy margaritas.
Fair use. Just want to say fair use. Thank you, Vincent, for putting out such an excellent video. It's easy to watch. It's kind of palatable. It's not as bitter as I am about all this stuff.
In Costa Rica, or cruising down the Miami freeway counting your money, all thanks to the three-legged stool. In finance, the stool basically represents the three most common ways retirees receive income in their twilight years. The only problem is, the three legs are starting to get wobbly. Firstly, there's savings to think about. After working for 46 years, you're expected to have a sizable nest egg saved up from which you can slowly withdraw from after you stop working. The problem is, the average baby boomer isn't prepared. 45% of baby boomers have no retirement savings, and out of those who do, 28% have less than 100.
Dude. So that means that most of these boomers, when they actually hit the retirement, are going to have to work someplace. Ay, ay, ay.
$100,000 saved. Now, $100,000 might sound like a...
That's why they're not retiring, because they spent all their money, and that's why all the Gen Z folks aren't able to get into the workforce, because there hasn't been that pop off stuff, which is actually going to be happening in the next 6 years or so. What a mess.
A lot of money. But on average, people older than 65 spend about $52,000 a year to live. There's rising medical expenses, delicious sugar-free applesauce, and Billy Joel concert tickets. You don't have to be a math whiz to realize the average baby boomer will burn through their savings sooner rather than later. And it's already happening. Baby boomers are now the fastest growing generation to experience homelessness. In the 1990s, 11% of the homeless population were 50 and older. Today, that number is nearly 50%. Many baby boomers across the country are now coming to terms with the reality that working your entire adult life is no longer enough to guarantee that you'll have a roof over your head in your later years. So we know the savings leg can't be relied on. What about the other two? But first, if you want to easily save more money, then you have to use a savings goal tracker and checklist. I'm giving away mine for free, link down below. During the Great Depression, many working families lost their jobs. Businesses collapsed, people starved, and food rations became the norm. One of the groups hit the hardest were older Americans, who despite working for 46 years of their lives, now lived in poverty.
Oh, and if you ever go down the rabbit hole of what actually happened during what caused all that stuff to happen, all government policies, all government stuff. This group of clever scam artists who have tendrils into everything, seems to be also involved with all this stuff. So it seems like in 1930s, the U.S. government became not a U.S. government anymore.
In response, President Roosevelt passed the Social Security Act in 1935 to provide a financial safety net for retirees. Basically,
so they swapped out our liberties and stuff, and gold-backed currencies and stuff for this socialist stuff.
The retirees received monthly checks,
and now they're pulling the rug on that. Nice.
From the government to spend on essentials. But Social Security wasn't free. The government designed it as a pay-as-you-go program. They added a new tax for those currently working. From every paycheck, a bit of money was deducted and put into the Social Security Trust Fund. In return, current workers were promised that they would receive monthly checks from the fund after they retire.
Okay, so there was actually supposedly a real actual trust fund. I don't think there actually ever was one, but there actually seemed to be some amount of money they were setting aside, which he gets into a little bit later about what happened to that.
And it worked. After committing decades of their lives to the workforce, retired older Americans could now enjoy some leisure without constantly worrying about finances. Not surprisingly, the poverty rate among elderly households fell from 35% in 1959 to 11% in
Okay, so they went from the government caused 35% down to 11%. So it's still terrible.
1995. Now, Social Security is the #1 source of income security for retirees, with over 90% of retirees receiving Social Security benefits.
Okay, so you paid in, you're gonna 90% are gonna get out. Okay, except for that top 1% who don't give a shit.
All that is about to change. Remember the little promise the government made? Current workers were promised that they would receive monthly checks from the fund after they retired. In the 1980s, President Reagan began to take money from the Social Security Fund and spend it on other stuff: wars, tax cuts for the rich, and other government programs. President Bush and Clinton followed suit. In place of the trillions of Social Security funding they all took, they just put in an IOU, a piece of paper that promises the US government would eventually pay the money back. The problem is, they never really did. The Social
He's like, skips right over that. They're not paying it back. That's so terrible. And these people just don't give a shit about anybody except themselves. Holy shit. See, he was all siding that. Clinton was all, yeah, that's a great thing. It's the greatest thing we ever did. Oh my gosh, it's the best ever. Where is he signing that stupid shit? Where's he sitting at the table? This guy. These guys are so funny. Where are they? They at the table, yeah. Just they think it's so funny. They think it's hilarious.
The Social Security Fund has been cash flow negative since 2010, meaning more money is going out than coming in. For a long period of time, baby boomers were the largest generation in the US. During their working years, they contribute a lot of money to the fund for the silent generation to draw from. And now that the largest generation is retiring en masse, they're starting to get some of that money back. The problem is, there's now fewer workers paying into the system.
And fewer and fewer and fewer.
It's projected that the Social Security Reserve Fund is going to run out by 2034.
Okay, with this is like scary. I did a little thing in the title, like to sing, just like a little scary thing. Okay, they will never not issue Social Security checks, but what will happen is that the inflation rate is going to get so high and out of control because they don't really know how to. That you can't unwind a Ponzi scheme. It's just, sorry, no one's ever done it. It's actually not possible because they don't inject the interest. They need to pay it back. So this thing's in collapse mode right now. So they'll issue checks for ever, but just like in the Weimar Republic, they're all those paper notes for use as toilet paper, and these are all electronic. So it'd be the equivalent of 1/10. Every year it's 1/10 less. Or more. So they won't actually get rid of they'll issue money. It's just nobody's going to accept it because it's not worth anything. Unless you're in the tent tech city, and then it'll be worth something. But everything there of any value will be so expensive that you're just going to eat the pod bug gruel.
Meaning all new benefits will come directly from current payroll taxes. But taxes would only cover 77% of their promised full benefits. You can think of it like this. If you were promised a $1,000 Social Security check every month, now you would only receive $770.
So they're already reneging. They're already reneging on all the promises. Already. And then this thing hasn't even started to even get bad yet. I mean, we've got this massive older homeless population issue. So, but nobody cares about that. Mostly men anyway, so who cares about men?
Cost of everyday items increase, a 20% pay cut is pretty significant. The problem is many Americans believe the 2034 year forecast is guaranteed, but it isn't. It's a warning about what will happen in a good economy. It doesn't really account for the unknown and uncertainty of what could happen during a bad one.
So that was even the best case scenario. So it's like, it looks like they're targeting 2030, this WEF group or whoever. That's just one faction of this group. The PR faction, so looks like 2030.
In 2019, the size of the gap between what Social Security has promised and what it expects to pay has grown by nearly $10 trillion, more than 40%. For every $1 that the program has collected in payroll taxes, it has generated roughly $2 of promises that no one expects it to keep.
Oh, okay. But keep paying your taxes and keep supporting this system. It's real important that we get the right president in there.
But what about the third leg that baby boomers can hopefully rely on? Prior to the 1980s, pensions were the mainstream private option for retirement income. Basically, companies would set aside money for their employees, invest that money for them, and then these employees would be guaranteed payouts after they retire. It was a time when company loyalty actually meant something.
yeah, there was a time in America where that actually was a thing. I definitely lived through that time. People did actually keep the word. It was mostly the silent generation, not the boomers. When the boomers started getting in charge, that stuff started going out the window. That's when all this stuff started going out the window, because they weren't the generation that's promised it doesn't understand they were. It's all being reneged on. And they don't seem to care. It's like they care. They don't care. So like, what do you think these boomers are going to spend the money on? Nobody's working.
The more you work there, the more money you received in your payout. But then Ted Benna changed everything. He believed pension plans were too expensive and too risky for companies, and so he did something about it. Enter the 401k plan, a much worse retirement option in literally every single way, where you now set your money aside, you pick the investments, and if you don't do this, then too bad, so sad.
So they push the risk onto people that have no idea how any of this stuff works. They push the risk, and the risk is their company's stuff. Weird.
Companies love this alternative. It was a lot less work and a lot less risk for them, so many stopped offering pension plans and migrated to 401k plans.
Look, the future is 1099. The 1099 superior race, as Aaron Clary talks about it. You can't be an employee anymore. You gotta be 1099, and you have to pay them through the nose. So that's why you gotta skill the fuck up. And if that means you don't want to do the tech skill stuff, you got to do manual labor, contracting, some find some niche, something. I'm working on air conditioning cleaning, a micro SaaS that supports businesses that want to do air conditioning cleaning. If you're interested in that, that's an actually amazing business opportunity that seems to be going underserved almost everywhere. So anyway, so 1099, having your own business about it. And that means, okay, you can't just jump into a business. You have to go learn it. So you have to be a fucking employee for a little while and suck it up, buttercup. And then do it with the eyes open, like trying to figure out as many things you could do in the business so you could actually do your own business or something similar to it. Or side, you have to. They're gonna collapse this system. And if you're not valuable in a way that you can extract money without being an employee, you're gonna get so fucked.
Instead, shifting the cost of retirement from the employer to the employee. And the timing was perfect. There were two stock market booms in the 1980s and the 1990s,
So it made sense while everything's in the green. Okay, everything's in the black, everything makes sense. As soon as things go south, that's when all this stuff inverts.
Easily convinced workers that investing in your own 401k was the better move. From 1980 to 2008, participation in pension plans fell from 38% to 20%, while participation in plans like the 401k increased from 8% to 31%. The problem is, a whole new generation of people who never invested before were now chasing the bull market with the nest egg they needed to retire. Steve Sholo and Dan Robertson were two public school teachers who didn't know much about finance, but they saw everyone else was raving about the 401ks, so they decided to join in. By 1996, they had doubled their retirement nest egg to $500,000. By 1999, their portfolio topped $1 million. And they were thrilled. They thought they made the best decisions of their lives. But by the early 2000s, the dot-com bubble burst, and Sholo and Robertson saw their fortune crater from $1.5 million down to $500,000.
So this is the kind of thing that they're about to do with the CBDC. They're going to convert people's 401ks and IRAs and stocks and bonds, and then give them back a CBDC. That's what they're planning.
Thousands of people who had been on the verge of
That's in the Great Taking. It's pretty pathetic what's about to occur.
retirement were now forced back to work because they lost everything. But the problems didn't stop there. Whenever money and investing is involved, you can bet Wall Street finds an opportunity to profit. This is Robert Hilton Smith, an economist who regularly contributed to his 401k plan, who one day noticed something was off about his account.
Now here's some stuff that you're not going to hear about on the mainstream news about your 401ks and IRAs and all your fucking stuff.
Like the market doing relatively well, his 401k investment account was barely increasing. After digging for days and weeks, he finally saw where his money was going. The plan itself was invested into more than 20 different mutual funds, each of which had its own costs and fees. There's asset management fees, trading fees, marketing fees, record-keeping fees, administrative fees, fees for not knowing there were fees. A 2 to 3% fee might seem inconsequential, but it's not. Just as investing your money allows you to compound and increase your wealth in the long term, cost and fees also rise exponentially over time. Suppose you have an investment portfolio worth $60,000. You plan to contribute $500 a month to it for the next 25 years, and it grows at an average rate of 8% per year. At the end, you'd have $884,635 in your portfolio. That's a lot of money. But if you had a 2% fee, you'd be left with only $606,450.
Grifting the night away. I'm grifting. Grift. These guys on Wall Street are not your friends, okay? If you have your money in Wall Street, you need to get it out now and convert it to something real, or at least a percentage of it, some sort of backstop. If you haven't done that today, do it today, because this thing, we have no idea how fast they can do this. Other countries that they've done these type of operations where they swap out or take people's savings and give them back some percentage back over a certain amount, or just do it all everybody like they did in Mexico. So this is what's happening.
That tiny 2% fee costs you $278,000. In 2012, Hilton Smith reported that on average, an American family will pay nearly $155,000 in 401k fees to Wall Street.
So every person that invests is sending some kid on Wall Street, some kid to college. And how many clients do these people have?
Over their lifetime. But that's not even the worst of it. The idea behind these high...
That's their 3 summer homes and their Lamborghinis. They're two OnlyFans mistresses on the side.
Fees is that when it comes to mutual funds in your 401k, a professional is helping you invest your money to beat the stock market. The problem is, about 51% of actively managed funds fail to do so.
Yeah. If you haven't figured it out yet, these guys have no idea what they're doing.
You're actually statistically better off.
They're just really good salesmen.
Of hiring this cat, Orlando. In 2013,
Orlando's the shit. Orlando is the shit. This cat is the most honest, amazing trader that ever has existed in the history of mankind.
2013, Orlando outperformed experienced and qualified wealth managers at picking stocks. And the best part, Orlando doesn't require any hidden fees, just a can of tuna once in a while. About 12,000 people will turn 65 every single day in 2024. The problem is, their 401k plans are being wiped out. Fidelity found that the average 401k balance fell by 23% in Q3 of 2023, and many are expecting the stock market to get even worse. According to McKinsey, Americans are living longer than ever thanks to
brutal
better working conditions and healthcare innovations. Life expectancy has nearly...
This is the reason I had the Rona, because they gotta get rid of all the people that are totally useless. That they can't. There's no way they're gonna be able to take on all else people. So all the people that are dumb enough to follow for it, so they're gonna get rid of people who have no ability to discern reality.
Really doubled since the late 1890s, which is great. We all have more time to spend with our parents and grandparents. The only problem is, it now takes a lot more money to retire than what we, our government, and economy originally anticipated. In economics, they call this the old age dependency ratio. Basically, it's the number of individuals older than 65 per 100 people of working age. The higher the ratio, the greater the burden on the current workforce and overall economy to support and provide for the retirees. Government services and programs will be stretched, taxes will need to be increased on the working population to support the increase.
Yeah, the dummies left over to think that this thing's going anywhere. Oh, they're gonna get soaked.
Expenses and potential pressure to increase the retirement age for future generations. The average old age dependency ratio across OECD countries like the UK, Australia, and Germany is 28, meaning for every 100 working age people, there are 28 individuals who are 65 years or older. The problem is, this ratio is projected to be 50% in the US by 2075. As housing, education, childcare, and food prices continue to climb, many Americans are struggling to make ends meet. As a result, more and more of the younger generation are refusing to have kids. If you think about it, our entire social and economic structures have the same issues as a Ponzi scheme. If the next generation isn't bigger than the last, it impacts almost...
Yet another goddamn Ponzi scheme.
Everything. Naturally, as you get older and retire...
These people don't have anything but Ponzi schemes. These cults, these ever-expanding cults, the sales guys that gotta have their Maseratis and the 3 houses on the coast and the OnlyFans sugar daddy and the sugar babies. These are the people running the show, by the way. If you haven't figured it out yet, that's the guys running the thing.
Expenses go down. No more overpriced drinks at the bar or buying the latest tech gadgets. But there is one expense that will go up without fail. One particular crisis that baby boomers will have to face head on. A 2017 research study found that a healthy 65-year-old couple retiring will need to spend $275,000 to cover their healthcare costs in retirement. Doctor visits, 20 different pills, and stress balls. 70% of baby boomers will need some form of long-term care, assisted living, hospice care, or nursing homes. The problem is, the average cost of a nursing home is between $7,908 and $9,034 per month. So where are baby boomers expected to get this kind of money from? Most don't have enough in savings, Social Security will be cut, and 401k plans are crashing. But if you want to quickly save more money, using a savings goal tracker and checklist is the most effective way to do that. Get mine for free. Link
if you're young, okay, minimalism. Basically, the thing is, quit buying stupid shit. How about that? How about just quit buying stupid shit, stack your cash, gain skills, not copywriting, not drop shipping, bro, not day trading, bro. Actual real things that people will actually buy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, microsas, you can just define what a business is, is it valuable or not. That's one thing for if you want to do tech. If you're going to do the tech stuff, stop trying to be easy road out. Stop. That's where the scams come in. The fact that these workers could just go, okay, I'll give away my future to somebody else, a sales guy that he real talks real pretty, so I'm going to go ahead and trust him.
You might think one option is Medicare, basically federal health insurance for people over 65. It's more affordable than private insurance. The problem is, Medicare doesn't cover long-term care. So the other option is Medicaid, basically health insurance for low-income Americans. But to be eligible for Medicaid, you need to be at or below 133% of the federal poverty level, meaning most middle-class baby boomers will be in between being too poor to afford the care they need and too rich to qualify for Medicaid.
Oh, it's an accident. It's an accident.
But even if they're able to get long-term care, there's still one more problem. Getting into a nursing home is more challenging than ever. Nursing homes are experiencing staffing shortages, overcrowding issues, and many are actually operating at a loss.
Ugh. Oh.
As a result, more than 1,000 nursing homes have closed since 2015, and more are on their way out. But there might be one last saving grace for baby boomers who still have a decent life into their twilight years: their children. The problem is, millennials are in a tough spot themselves. Housing affordability, stagnating wages, and a looming debt crisis. Many won't be able to get time off work to provide the complex, ongoing assistance their parents might require. And they can't afford to quit because households can no longer support themselves with a single income. Some millennials will be forced to take reduced hours or look for a job with more flexibility, potentially resulting in lower pay, meaning they'll be in a tough spot of having to choose between caring for their aging relatives and their own financial survival. For me personally, family comes before everything else. But for many millennials, they'll need to determine if they themselves will have enough money when they retire. A 2006 research study found that when family members over 50 take on unpaid caregiving roles, they'll lose on average over $300,000 in
brutal. Oh my god, dude, this is a disaster. Oh no.
lost income and benefits, which is a substantial amount. But it's more than just money. There's the mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion that you will undoubtedly experience. And what's even more terrible can only be summarized by this post. You end up in a strange dynamic, where you wish for the day when you don't have to deal with the daily caregiving stressors, and then you realize that you are longing for the death of your parents, which is a strange and terrible place to be.
Yeah. This is so anti-human. The people who we have allowed to be in charge of this hate our guts. Is it not obvious yet? No? No? I'm out of my mind. I'm losing it.
But what if I told you that the baby boomer crisis should be the least of your worries? What most people don't realize is that something weird is happening to your job. For one of the first times in history, people are getting fired without actually getting fired. Click here to learn what's happening.
That's just a promo for his next thing. Anyway, go over and give Vincent Chen, who Vincent Chan, who also obviously has a good family, as a good person. This guy's still a little blue pilled, even though he's dropping hardcore truth bombs all over the place about what's going on. A savings plan, not quite gonna do it. You're gonna have to ramp. If this is your first thing about this, you're gonna have to ramp up skill sets. And it's never been easier for people that aren't afraid of getting their hands dirty. It's going to take a long time to do that. Yeah, start now. The time is going to go by anyway. Start the fuck now. Anyway, retirement plan's done. Stop it. Stop it. I'll leave links in the show notes.
Recording ended.
Oh, shit. Why did it do that? What happened to the closer? Pause it.